So I have a previous video titled Are Squats Bad for Hypertrophy? I go into the fact that all these fit pros keep telling you that squats are bad for hypertrophy, don't do squats, blah, 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 blah. But someone asked if I could do a video on why squats are good for hypertrophy, and I'm going to do that because, as I keep telling you guys, if you just ask, I'll talk about it. Here's the reality of training over time. Your training has to change over time, okay? So when you look at Jay Cutler, for example, and you're like, well, Jay Cutler is doing a ton of leg extensions and hack squats. Sure. That's not how he built the mass. You look at Nick Walker. Nick Walker at 185 trained very differently than he trains now. Any of these big guys, all of them, every single one of them, started off as a small, normal guy. Even Ronnie Coleman, like, people point out, they're like, oh, well, he was only 225 before he started using steroids. And it's like, motherfucker was already lifting weights. It's not like he started at 225, like he was just out of the womb at 225. He had to build that mass, and he built that naturally, and then he got into enhanced bodybuilding. Same thing for Kai Green. Kai Green was jacked before he ever started into the enhanced side of things, okay? And he had been lifting weights. That's how he got jacked. How did they build the mass? How do you get to that point? Well, they all do the same thing. It's like, you can look it up, Justin Harris Project Heavyweight or whatever it's called. You're going to do heavy squats, heavy pulls, heavy rows, heavy presses, right? You're going to do the deadlifts. Yeah, you're going to do deadlifts. Everyone's like, oh, deadlifts are bad for hypertrophy. What? Deadlifts are bad for hypertrophy when you're already 300 pounds of muscle and you're trying to make your hamstring thicker? Sure. Right now, you're currently, 150? Maybe you're 185. You're skinny. You don't have tons of mass. Guess what? Doing things like deadlifts and squats is going to put on mass, and here's why. These full body compound movements require that you recruit more motor fibers. You're going to recruit more muscle. It really is that simple. And no, it isn't because of some weird thing where, like, oh, well, squats build up testosterone. There's a spike in testosterone after you squat, or there's a spike in growth hormone after you squat. No, those hormonal things are very short and transient. The bigger factor in this is that you're recruiting a ton of muscle, and you're getting this muscle irradiation effect. Now, I don't know who said that first about muscle irradiation. The first person I ever heard it from was Pavel, right? Pavel Tsatsouline. But I feel like even Josh Bryant was commenting about this at some point, that Fred Hatfield discussed that. And I think even Dave Tate mentioned someone else talking about muscle irradiation. I can't remember who it was. But the point being, this is not a novel concept, like the idea of muscle irradiation, full body tension, right? Yeah, full body tension. So when you deadlift, you're getting full body tension. When you squat, hopefully, if you're doing it correctly, you're getting full body tension. So yes, the strategy might change later on, because now you have to train your adductor. You're a professional bodybuilder. You have to train your adductor so you get a better quad sweep on stage, or you need to do some very specific exercise to make your teardrop VMO thing pop on stage. But for the rest of us who are just trying to get bigger, man, you can't beat squats. This is like saying that you can't beat deadlifts and bench presses and overhead presses and these basic rows and stuff like that. Basic movements. You can't beat these things. Like, there's no amount of single leg goofy thing that you're going to do that's going to beat a bilateral back squat. It's just not going to happen. You can't load it as heavy. You can't. I don't care what single leg thing you're doing. You can't load it the way you can load a back squat. This is like the Mike Boyle thing I pointed out before. He's like, oh, well, people can, single leg squat 300 pounds, so therefore they could do 600. It's like, no, they couldn't, because that single leg squat, they're still using their back leg, number one. Number two, you put 600 pounds on the bar and that person's going to get pinned to the floor. Why? Because it's a full body load. You think your back's gonna, like, I can leg press more than I can squat. Yes, we all can. The squat is recruiting more muscle fiber across your entire body. That's why you grow. And so, like, if you really think about things logically, like this is the point that I keep trying to drive home to people. Okay, and I'm not telling you, if you're a pro bodybuilder watching this, one, thank you. I don't know why you'd be watching me, but thank you. So, I don't know who you are out there. Maybe Nick Walker's watching me. Maybe Big Grammy's watching this. But for the rest of us mortals, okay, basic back squats, deadlifts, presses, rows are going to be the best way for us to lay down muscle, because these full body movements require full body tension. All right, that back squat, that basic bilateral back squat, you can load that real heavy, and you can squat real heavy, and you can build some strength with that. Okay, this is the basis of building your foundation. This is like guys who are worried about their delts or something like that. Like, I need to do more some type of movement because I need more rear delt. And it's like, motherfucker, you don't even have delts right now, period. You need to just go press. Just go do overhead press, because you don't have delts. So why are you worried about bringing up your rear delt when you don't have any delts? So why are you worried about your adductor when you don't even have any quads? Okay, the strategy will change later on if you're a pro bodybuilder. So if you're a pro bodybuilder trying to look perfect on stage and get these little last things in, yes, you'll need to worry about things like, well, this one trains my gastroc and this one trains my soleus. But for the rest of us who just have small calves, we just need to do more calf raises, period. I don't need to sit around and worry about, is this one training my gastroc or is this one training my soleus? No, I just need bigger calves in general. Is this training my rectus femoris or is this training my VMO? No, I just need bigger legs in general. That's the point. So for those of us who are laying a foundation, back squats are the way to go. It's neurological, it's physiological. There's even some endocrine in there. And no, I'm not just referring to the testosterone and the spike in growth hormone. Okay, there's other endocrine factors at play, because muscle is an endocrine organ in a lot of ways. So it's going to change things like IGF and MGF and all these other factors that are at play, and the metabolic expense. Tell you what, I'll point something out from my own workouts. It's really easy for me to do 8 sets of 10 bench press. Shit, I'll do 8 sets of 10 bench press with 225, and then I'll move on and do 8 sets of 10 overhead press. And I'll do pull-ups. That is not as taxing as me doing even just 5 sets of 10 back squat. People hate squatting because it's hard. People don't like squatting because it is metabolically hard on you too. Do a set of 20 rep squats, you are breathing hard. Hell, do a set of 10 squats, you're breathing hard. I can do a set of 10 bench press, and I'm not breathing that hard. A set of 10 back squat, I am breathing hard. Go for a 1 rep max back squat. Go for a 1 rep max bench press. Tell me which one was harder. You know the back squat was harder. Especially if you squat properly. Now that's the other part that comes in here, is that you'll see a lot of people say, oh, squats are bad for hypertrophy. And then you see that person squat, and it's like, what you're doing is not a squat. You're doing some type of good morning thing. You're doing like a bent knee good morning. Yes, I realize I just insulted a bunch of the fit gurus out there. I've seen your squats. And some of you are good. Like, you actually have a record. Like, you squat a lot of weight. But your form, it's all back. Which, that's fine. You're competing in powerlifting. No one cares. So go ahead and do that all back thing that you're doing. But your squat form is so bad. No wonder your legs don't grow. You're not using your legs. We've all seen that. You know who I'm talking about. And that's not just like I'm talking about one person. I'm talking about a lot of people. You know the examples out there. There are a lot of fit pros who, when they squat, look like they're doing a good morning. They bend in half. They fold over. Well, if you bend in half and fold over, you're not doing anything for your legs. You're basically just bending your knee enough to make depth, and then you're doing a good morning to stand it back up, okay? When you squat properly, right, and if you're not a power lifter, then I'm assuming you're doing the squat to just build leg strength, then you're going to want to keep that upright torso and move with your legs and load your quads. If that doesn't work for you, switch to front squats. I don't like to back squat. I broke a vertebrae in my thoracic spine, and now anytime I back squat, it just pisses that vertebrae off. It's not that I can't back squat, I can. It just means I pay for it the next day. So I front squat. Do you think my legs have somehow gotten weaker because I front squat? I tell you what, if you can front squat, 300 pounds, you will have no trouble back squatting 300 pounds, okay? I can back squat my front squat anytime I want. It's just whether or not I want to put up with my neck hurting the next day. Squats are a fantastic way for you building mass. Is it the best way for you to get that quad separation and that quad sweep for stepping on stage? Probably not. I'm not a bodybuilding expert. Don't ask me. Go listen to somebody else on how to get those fine definition details in. But when it comes to just building mass, it's just like the deadlift. Like, go deadlift and deadlift heavy and you will gain mass. Oh, it's the best exercise for hamstrings? I have no idea, but I'll tell you what, you're going to gain full body mass. Is bench press the best way for you to build your pecs? Probably not. It's probably going to build your triceps and your delts and your pecs, and it's going to build a lot more than just your pecs. But pound for pound, you're probably going to put on a lot more muscle doing bench press than you would doing dumbbell flies. Sure, dumbbell flies might be better for for your pec specifically, but a big heavy bench press, yeah, you're going to put on more mass. This is no different than how I point out to people, like doing weighted dips, weighted pull-ups. Yeah, man, it's a lot of muscle. Heavy weighted pull-ups are going to put on more muscle than you doing curls. Curls, sure, curls might target, the bicep better, but heavy weighted pull-ups, dude, you're going to gain muscle in your back, your lats, your shoulders, your biceps, your forearms. You're going to gain it everywhere. Skull crushers target the tricep. Yeah, we'll go do overhead presses and bench presses. This is why the squat is king. You squat heavy. You just don't. Show me a guy who can squat 405 for a set of 10 that doesn't have giant fucking legs. Doesn't exist. They're all big. I've never seen somebody who squats 500 pounds that has small legs. And I know, you're going to sit there and tell me, well, Tom Platz had bigger legs than Fred Hatfield. And it's like, sure. But Fred Hatfield didn't have small legs. Yeah. Well, Tom Platz has bigger legs than Ed Cohn. Yeah. And Ed Cohn still had huge legs. Like, yes, I get it. Tom Platz had bigger legs, but no one looked at Ed Cohn and was like, oh man, that guy doesn't have any muscle. Does he even lift? That doesn't happen. No one looked at Kurt Kowarski and was like, that guy doesn't look like he has any muscle on him. Okay? Tom Platz, yes, Tom Platz had bigger legs, but no one looks at him and thinks, oh shit, that guy doesn't have... Look, Matt Wenning chased Tom Platz's record, right? Tom Platz clearly has bigger legs than Matt Wenning. Like, obviously. Matt won't even deny it. Tom Platz has bigger legs. But no one looks at Matt Wenning and goes, oh, that guy has small legs. So the squat is going to pack on muscle, and it's going to pack on muscle everywhere. It's going to make your glutes bigger. It's going to make your hamstrings bigger. It's going to make your quads bigger. It's going to make everything is going to grow. Hell, my calves are sore after heavy squats. Okay? Squats are going to build more muscle. Is it going to build more muscle in some specific muscle of your quadricep that you're trying to target? No. But overall, it's going to build more muscle for your full body. And that's why I talk about how squats and deadlifts, rows and presses, those should be the foundational movements. Every single guy you see stepping on the stage of the Olympia built the mass in the beginning when they were small like the rest of us. When they were mortals, they built the mass doing big, heavy, compound movements first. Yes, they train differently now that they're at this high level. It's like Jay Cutler realized he didn't have to bench press anymore and started just using dumbbell bench press because he didn't want to tear a pec. But that isn't because he didn't do bench presses in the beginning. He built the mass doing big, heavy presses. He built the mass doing big, heavy squats. Later on, he just changed his training because he had the mass. So now it was just a matter of like refining the details. So the way for you to lay your foundation down is those big, heavy movements. And yes, squats are good for hypertrophy. They build everything. It's going to even build your back. Guys that back squat heavy have strong backs. Mike Boyle says, well, the limiting factor of the back squat is your back. And it's like, good. Then that means it's to make your back stronger. That's why you should back squat. Oh, you shouldn't back squat because it strengthens your back. No, that's an even better reason for your back squat. Having a strong back. What was it, Bill Kazmaier? A man with a strong back is a strong man. Yeah, you want to have a strong back, just like how you want to have a strong neck. Don't do things that strengthen your back. What kind of logic is that? There you guys have it. So go do some squats.